With Valentine's Day just around the corner, I thought it was the perfect time to put together a little date night romantic build. We're going to do that over in Mythopia today. You can follow along with me. It shouldn't take too long. I'm hoping this is going to be a relatively quick build. Mythopia is one of my favorite biomes from the entire game. It's from the Storybook Vale expansion pass. I love it. There's not that many items in this build, so you should be okay. If you do need to substitute something that I use that is like premium shop for your own, you can obviously do that. I love this build. I hope that you do too. It shouldn't take us too long. I do make a tiny little mistake. I'm recording this after recording the build in the middle, so I would advise that you watch it all the way through before actually doing it yourself. I mean, you can follow along. Basically, all that happens is I have to move the entire build down by, that was close, by 3 spots. So if you wait until the end, you can rewatch it and do the build that way. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's just get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any more time or swear at you anymore. All right, so these are the items that I've chosen to decorate with today. I'll leave this on the screen just for a second so you can screenshot it if you do want to use the same ones, and then we'll get to the build. So I've chosen to do it in the Elysian Fields. I still never know if I get that name right. I just love this biome. I love Mythopia. I think it's one of the best looking biomes that we have. I wasn't actually sure if I would like it when we first got our look at Storybook Vale because it's so yellow, but I don't know, there's just something about it that draws me in. I love the yellow floor, and then I love how like pink looks on top of it. And I knew I wanted to use a lot of pink in this build, so that's why I've kind of like gone with this biome for the specific build. So what I'm going to do first is I do want to use the swans that we got from the Lovely Monster Star Path, and I'm going to pop those kind of in the center. So I do really want this ideally to be centered if I can get it so. It is quite difficult to actually see where the center of this curvature is. It might be over just like 1. Maybe something like that looks just about okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to put this date night table in as the centerpiece. So this is, I think it's Beauty and the Beast. Is it Scrooge's? It might be a quest reward item. I think it's possibly quest reward. You can see that it's actually slightly off center to those swans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the one on the right just by 1 tile. And then that should then be centered just fine. I'm going to bring that down a couple, and I'm going to place it there for now. I might have to move it in a little bit because I do kind of want this to be a structured setup. So I want it to be kind of like a rectangle, but I need to make sure that I've left enough space out the back. So I'm going to place that right in the middle. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my water rugs. Now I do have a tutorial on this. I will link this somewhere up here. I don't even know where I am. Somewhere at the top. If you haven't done it already, you can create some of these water rugs yourself. I think they look really effective. They look more effective when they're decorated with stuff around them. So bear with me. We're going to place it down. I'm going to do 1 here, and then 1 probably just out here. And then we just need to kind of like align those to make sure that the spacing is just right. I just kind of like do this by eye now. I think I get relatively close. I do this in work as well. I'm a graphic designer, so I kind of like know where stuff goes by eye, but you can space it out if you do want to do that. That looks pretty good to me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move these little fountains on top of them. These are the marble fountains. I think they're a Hercules item. I love these. They're so effective, especially when you're doing kind of like a build that requires a little bit of a smaller footprint, I think, because some of the fountains that we have are so huge in the game that actually we do need like some that aren't as big, and this is just perfect for that purpose. So I'm going to place those right in the center of those rugs. Then I'm going to grab these archways, which are also from Hercules, and I'm just going to pop those in front and behind of this date night table. That will give us an idea of the spacing that we have, but also the spacing that I'm going to require sort of like behind this build. So at present, I know that I kind of want to have some stuff in line with this, probably like either these hedges maybe, or these sort of shrubs. So as long as there's enough space, that's okay. I don't think there's going to be, so I'm going to move everything down like 2 tiles. Just to give myself enough wiggle room if I need it. So I bring that 2 down, that 2 down. And then that kind of like centered in there. And then I can bring that out just a little bit to make sure that we've got enough breathing space. That's the main thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to flesh out both sides of this kind of like water feature. So I'm going to pop these columns on, and these columns are going to go not on the corner of the rug. I think I'm going to put them one back, because if I remember correctly, when I've used these rugs before, when I want to use some of these flower patches, they don't quite add up correctly because these are a 3. So I need to make sure that I've got enough space. So if we bring over a flower patch, we should just be able to fit 4 in like that. Yeah, perfect. And then across the front, we should be able to fit 2. It's going to plan. And then we can just repeat the same on the other side. I will rotate these shortly just to make sure that they kind of like don't all face the same way, because it does look a little bit much when they're facing the same way. Your eye is pretty good at starting to sort of like pick up patterns and stuff like that. So rotating them can help sort of like alleviate that a little bit. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab a fence. So we're going to go into Furniture tab, we'll go down to Fencing, and I'm going to grab the marble fence, which is obviously from Mythopia. Very pretty fence, one of the best we've got. I can't believe we got fencing that is so nice, but then no pathing. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I love this fencing. I think it looks great, especially in this biome. It's meant to be here, so we're going to use it. You can see here that the water rug starts to look a little bit more effective in this lighting. It catches the sunlight the same as the water behind it does, so that kind of like all ties it in together, which helps it look really, really neat. I'm just going to double check before we start on the other side whether there's anything else that I could do with putting over here. I actually think we might be good, because what I want to do on the outside of this, I actually want to place some of these hedges. So I kind of wanted this to be a private sort of like date night space. That was the logic for Valentine's Day. So I do want to make sure that it does have like an element of privacy to it. So I'm just looking how we can sort of like integrate those hedges in the best way. Yeah, I think that's looking good. The only thing that's bugging me is it kind of like overhangs on the back a little bit, and I've got a gap here. So to overcome that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place some of this fencing in, and then I'm just going to do like a little bit around the columns that we've used. Now, I got lucky with these columns. These are from Scrooge's. If you don't have them, you can replace them with any other columns. The Beast's column would probably look pretty nice here because that's kind of like purple, so it's got the same tones to it. But yeah, these Grecian columns are from Scrooge's. I think they can appear in any Scrooge store. I got mine from the Storybook Vale one by chance. I think it was one of the only things I was waiting on. I'm still waiting on the gazebo, the sort of like Mickey Toontown one, the light blue aqua one, and what else am I waiting on? It is the fountain, the big fountain. That's also blue, I think. I didn't think that was going to be in Scrooge's, I'll be honest, when I saw it, but that's another video. I think that looks good, and what that enables me to do is I can actually move this down by 1 tile now, because we kind of like made it line up. So because we added that little bit of fencing in, that actually lines up perfectly now. And then off the back of that, what I want to do is I want to place some of these kind of like spiral trees. Spiral trees? Oh, shocking. They're cypress trees. Why would I say that? These cypress trees just at the start and end, kind of as like signifiers that this is the start and the end of the hedge, but it gives a little bit of verticality to it, and it adds a little bit more interest in terms of height. So now I can just go ahead and I can replicate all of this on this other rug. So what we did, of course, was we had them just 1 tile in and out from the back. 1 tile in from the width, 1 tile out from the length, I should say. Then we've obviously got these flower patches, which we can just get in like super quickly now because we know that they fit. We don't have to play around with any sizing. And that's how you can get them to fit perfectly around one of these Touch of Magic rugs. So I'm just going to finish off putting those in place. Then I can grab us some more marble fence. We can just zip that all the way around the fountain. And we can also do them just around these columns because we know that we need the extra little bit of space for those Alice hedges, which I've actually grown to love. I'll be honest, when they first came out, I wasn't that keen on them. Not because I didn't like the idea of having a hedge. I actually really love the idea of having a hedge. It was just that I could spot where the texture repeats. So they do still bug me a little bit. I can see, like, just when I squint a little bit, I can see that the texture repeats there and there. So I pick up on that. I don't know if it's my eye. I don't know, again, like I said, not to go on because I'm a graphic designer, but I just kind of like notice those things sometimes. So I like to try and rotate things just to try and mix it up, to try and help alleviate some of that. I'm just going to come out because I've been having a saving issue recently. So I'm going to come out and go back in. I did another build the other day and I worked on it for about 50 minutes straight. And then I came out and it just undid the whole thing. Everything. Back to the start. And I was like, okay, let's go. So that's what we put up with, but we persevere because we love the game. I'm going to rotate these as well. And then we can go in and I'm just going to rotate each of these flower patches like just a couple of times just to mix it up a little bit. You don't have to do this. I just personally like to do it to sort of like mix up those patterns. Like I said, it's not a requirement by any means, but you know, if you want it to look a little bit more natural, I suppose, I guess that's the word I would use, just a little bit more on the natural side, because not everything grows in one direction, right? So that looks pretty good. That breaks it up and it makes it look a lot better, personally, for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just looking. I'm thinking maybe I bring these columns in line, because they're in line with the date table anyway, but then I could just bring this marble fence out to meet the column, sort of just like that. And that actually then makes it feel like a little bit more enclosed. I'm wondering if I can't decide whether to put the columns just outside or just inside. I feel like they would be just outside, right? That adds like just a step forward, just a slight step forward. So I'm going to do that on both sides. We're going to have them sort of like just step out a little bit. And I'm hoping that everything fits behind it. So what I was thinking was putting these yellow cypress trees in. So I was thinking of putting these sort of like maybe one right in the center. Oh no. No, I forgot about these shrubs. This is not good. This is not good. I guess that kind of works. I could kind of get away with that, right? It's just that I can't go back. I can't go back one tile. This is what I was trying to avoid. I should have done this first. Oh no. But actually, I think it works fine. I think it works fine because they kind of sit in that spot anyway. Right. Let me see. Yeah, they look okay. They look okay.
A few moments later.
I did have to move it. 2 reasons. 1, the stuff wasn't going to fit behind, but I needed to fit, and I needed to space those cypress trees out. And 2, I forgot one item which I wanted to put in, which was this water curtain. So everything is exactly the same. I've just shifted it down 3 tiles. Hopefully, if you do replicate this build, you'll watch the video through before doing it 1 time at least, but I will put a warning at the beginning of the video. Not that it matters now. That's a note for me. But yeah, I've moved everything down 3 tiles, which allows me now to actually space those out kind of like where I wanted them to be. I only wanted 1 gap between them, but that bush there was not allowing me to do that with the space that we had. So I just think they look a little bit better spaced out than they do sort of like bunched up together. That's the way cypress trees are meant to be. Then the other thing that I'm going to do, because we didn't put this water curtain in, because I wanted it to act as sort of like a fountain, the water tile fountain that we have from Scrooge's, the little square one that shoots up, it doesn't work on these rugs, but this water curtain can be placed on the rugs. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in the fencing by kind of like one tile. That will then allow us to grab one of these water curtains, rotate it, and pop it just in that spot, just there. So that just like adds to this being a water feature, and I imagine it would be very relaxing if you were in fact on a date here, but that works much better for me. So all you need to do on this side as well is the same thing. Just bring that fence in down just 1, and then you'll be able to fit one of those curtains just on top of the rug. I do wish that those little like fountain tiles fit, because I could space them out in a different way and they wouldn't have like ugly silver circles at the bottom, but those are pretty hidden by the flower patches anyway, so you can't really tell. Look at that. It's coming together already, very swiftly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to grab these little rugs because these are going to go under the table. So I'm going to put one under each seat. Because it's like circular, it does fit perfectly with the seat. So I like bringing in that pink tone, just adds a little bit more of a romantic look to it, I think, if I can say that. And then what we might do, we might bring in these trees now. So I was thinking of having one sort of here, and then one duplicated on the other side, but rotated so it kind of matches. These do not work off like a full 180 rotation, so you do have to play with them a little bit. So if I do one here, I can just duplicate this one, but you'll see that because they kind of have like a curve to them, you can get it to look as though it's like 180 rotated, but you just have to be kind of careful. So it usually requires a couple of extra knocks on the rotation. Not too difficult, but just something to remember. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to bring in these nice big blossom trees, and I'm just going to pop them, I think maybe like in that gap between the yellow and the green cypress tree. So for this one, I'm going to just 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, I think probably fits pretty nicely. It's harder again with that one because the branch comes out so far, so you can't get it to reflect. There we go. If we look at that there and that there, that does reflect. So we can't get it to work. It just requires a little bit more of attention to detail when you're sort of like doing the rotations. I'm also going to pop this piano in. So I'm going to bring this in. And I thought this could be cute, just like right in front of the water. Just like that. So there's a little piano player there, sort of like giving a little bit of music. And we do have the bench to go with that. I love this bench. I love the blue on it, and the white matches the piano, so at least everything kind of like ties in together. And we'll move that back one so it's like just perfectly under the arch. Love that. I'm also going to go in and grab some flooring now, so I'm going to go into my paths tab, and then I'm just going to grab the golden brick road with border because I love the tone of it against sort of like the tone of this biome. And I was thinking maybe we could just do, I don't know, what can we do that's interesting? Maybe we move these back one. Maybe we move them just right into the corner of that fence, like as far back as it can go. And then we might be able to like get the floor to do a pretty little border around the outside, because I don't actually want this floor to fill the whole space. I just kind of wanted it to be kind of like a decorative border around the edge, I suppose. Maybe we don't even need to go. Actually, no. Let's go back a step because I had to come out there because of the tree. Let's go out one, down one, then out one again. Yeah, that looks good. And then we can do sort of like the same again just here. So you're kind of like skirting around the edge of those blossom trees a little bit. And then just bring it all the way down the other side as far as it will go, and then you should just be able to get it in just like that. That looks nice. I like that. I don't think it needs filling in. I think it just, because I love the ground in Mythopia. I love the way that there's like petals on the ground already. So for me, that looks perfect. I'm actually going to bring in the magnolia bloom pile, and I think we'll just pop it like on each corner, and I'll just do a rotation each time. Actually, what if we do it like actually on the corner? I know that I'm kind of like going against my ethos of just having the interesting pathing, but I kind of like the bloom piles on the corner. And then if we bring in the magnolia path, we can then just like layer this on top of the path as well. So I do like a rotation on every other one just to break up that pattern that I keep talking about. We'll just do it on both sides. So you still see the gold underneath. It just means that you get like just a couple little petals on top as well. And that's romantic, right? That's what people do for Valentine's Day. You just throw petals everywhere and hope that you don't slip and fall on them. So I'm going to do that on every side. It takes a little bit of a long time if you're sort of like doing it one by one, but it looks effective. We'll just grab our last pieces now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is subtle, don't get me wrong. It's not like kind of obvious, but I think that gives enough space. I think that gives enough space around it. You could probably, if you wanted to, tighten this up by 2 tiles on the width. So you could probably actually kind of like come in to where the golden road starts and like just tighten it up a little bit. But I think it gives a bit of breathing room. It doesn't feel too constricted. I was in 2 minds, to be honest, about putting kind of like these at the front as well. Okay. The cameras still get kind of wild in Storybook Vale, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I was kind of in 2 minds about putting these on the front as well. So we could do something like that. Like, could we even bring them all the way across just to give that like little bit of privacy, or is that too much? I feel like that might be a bit too much. Because I kind of want it to match, so it matches the back that way, you know? And then I did have these little blossom trees out, but I don't think that they're totally necessary. I was thinking that they could look cute, like, next to the piano. So you could kind of have them out the sides like that. But, I mean, they're not 100% necessary. If I am going to use them, I might just even, like, bring them next to the archway instead, so they can be seen. They can be seen from the seating area, if that makes sense. And then, like I said, the swans don't have like massive impact, but I just like them. I think they're underused and I think they're very cute. So when you're looking at the through line like that, at least you'll be able to see them from the table. Finally, the only thing we've got left to use, if I get rid of all this stuff we have used, is the lighting, which I've used these kind of like, I think they're the castle flames, if I remember correctly. And I was just thinking of putting those in each corner. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing too like over the top. One there and then one there. Are they in line? Are you in line? Let me come over here. Yes, you are. It's just the way that magnolia tree is going. And that's it. Look at that. That was quick. We're done already. I think it looks good. I think it's definitely romantic. Love all the pinks. Love the glow, kind of like catching the sunlight of the gold road as well, especially with the sunlight from the water features. It looks so good. I love those rugs. If you haven't done one of those yet, give it the tutorial a try. They're definitely effective. I think it looks perfect. Good job. So this is just kind of like how it looks from the character's point of view. Obviously, we are closer to the ground when we're in the character's view. I think it still looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. The edges of the water rug can't really be seen because they're hidden with the spirit curtains. I actually love those fountain pieces. It does feel like a proper Grecian kind of like date night, I suppose. Perfect for Valentine's Day. I might even keep this set up for a little while. Nice little seating area over here if you do kind of like want to sit and play the piano. And look, I can even sit down. I'm not involved in the date, clearly, excluding me, but you know, I can sit down and enjoy as well. So pretty good, I'd say. All right, gang, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a fun little build put together. Very romantic, very fitting for the time of year. And it didn't take too long. That's the nice thing about these smaller builds and these symmetrical builds. That's what I will say. I love symmetry. You know that I love symmetry. They're much easier to put together because you just replicate it on the other side, but they're always very impactful. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments, how did it go? With that being said, have a wonderful day. I will catch you in the next one, and I will, of course, see you in the valley.